In 2018, the Disney Channel premiered the latest addition to their animation lineup, Big City Greens. The series follows a country family moving to a megalopolis after their farm is foreclosed on, as they struggle to fit in, become easily overwhelmed by modern technology, and try to adjust to their new lives. Upon its release, people had doubts the show would find an audience, that it would be mostly overlooked for all the story-driven, more exciting animated shows on the slate. And those people were right to some degree, because the show doesn't have much of a prominent online fandom, at least when compared to its contemporaries. However, it still found great success with general audiences on a level we suspected we'd never see again, becoming Disney's first true flagship animated series since Phineas and Ferb ended its original run. I have always wanted to make a full discussion on Big City Greens because I adore the show. However, I was waiting until it came to an end, which I assumed would be relatively soon, since it's in the midst of its 4th season, which is the maximum a modern Disney Channel animated series is able to achieve. So I was planning one of my overly long retrospectives for next year when I thought the series would come to a close. Then a few months ago, they announced it had been greenlit for a 5th production cycle, the first Disney Channel animated series in history to reach that milestone. Since the series now seemingly has no end in sight and will likely last until 2026 if it isn't picked up for another season, I'm no longer content waiting to talk about this wonderful show and what makes it so special. The solution I've come up with is a collection of Big City Greens retrospectives spread out over the next few years, covering each season in its own separate video. Then when the show is finally laid to rest, I'll edit them all together into one, reflecting on the whole series with some extra material. So this video will only be covering Season 1, aka the show's humble beginnings. Before we continue though, I'd like to take a moment to remind y'all that if you enjoy this video, consider subscribing to the channel. I put so much time and effort into my various animation discussions, and hitting that button helps me out a whole lot. Especially since me and the YouTube algorithm haven't exactly been on friendly terms for the past year. And if you're interested, you can also check out my Patreon or channel membership, where I upload new videos a week early along with regular exclusive bonus videos, which you can access for as little as $1.50 or £1 a month. I'm currently working on some huge projects to release at the end of the year, though they are also quite expensive, so any help mitigating those costs is very much appreciated. Now back to the video. Big City Greens was brought to us by the minds of Chris and Shane Houghton, who have collectively done work on shows like Adventure Time, Wander Over Yonder, and Gravity Falls, though their first joint gig was as staff writers on the Nickelodeon series Harvey Beaks, which most of you know as that one 2010s Nicktoon animation YouTubers will not let up about, and for good reason. You can certainly see varying ways in which their time on this show influenced their own, which was pitched to Disney under the name Country Club. Following a lengthy development process, it was given the official go-ahead in March of 2016 under the new title Big City Greens, a name much more fitting due to its double meaning, with the titular Green family being farmers moving to a city where they are out of their element, therefore making them green in another way.
Chris and I grew up in a small farm town in Michigan called St. John's. We eventually moved out to Los Angeles, where we were starting to work in the animation industry. When we moved out to a big city, we realized a big city is not like our small town at all. And we had a little bit of a culture shock, kind of realizing, like, where are all the farmers? Where are all the tractors? But it was this really interesting feeling of moving from one place to another and kind of feeling displaced. Eventually, we pitched Big City Greens, which explored that feeling of moving from the country to the city.
For Season 1, Disney did not air the episodes in production order, which shouldn't be a big deal because Big City Greens is for the most part an episodic show. Though I find the production order to create a much more satisfying experience with the way the show slowly opens up the world and introduces important side characters, creates this clear progression with the family becoming more accustomed to their new life.
Moving to Grandma's house, oh, moving to Grandma's house. Bug flew in my mouth.
Let's go! Meet Cricket Green.
Hi there.
He and his family are moving from the country into the big city.
I know a lot about the city. In fact, I know a secret way people in the city get around. Nope, never mind. Follow me.
And they're crashing at Grandma's place.
Grandma!
And I teach you to be late? I could have died! Now give me a hug.
Tag along with Cricket.
This ain't nothing like back home, Dad.
His sister Tilly.
I have seen danger, and I love it.
His dad Bill.
Kids, help Dad out!
And his grandma.
Show yourselves, bandits!
Together, Cricket and his family will take on the big city one adventure at a time.
That guy looks friendly, just minding his own business. Rats! Rats! He's made of rats!
Big City Greens. coming this summer on Disney Channel.
The first two 11-minute segments, titled Welcome Home and Space Chicken, are perfect at easing you into the setting and getting you acquainted with the family and their dynamics, narrowing in on that fish out of water aspect with how confusing the Greens find their new environment.
No parking except on weekdays, holidays, and Sundays, in between the hours. Don't make no sense.
It does a great job making them stand out with some fun situational comedy, while also not shying away from the underlying tragedy of the situation. This is a family who have lost their home, forced to leave behind everything they once knew, only to find themselves somewhere completely alien that is less than welcoming towards them.
Hi, Mrs. Lewis!
Clean up your junkyard, you hillbilly!
Yet they find a way to remain optimistic and resilient. The strength of their bond is the foundation of the series, which is why the show never depicts the kids in school, as the creators wanted to avoid anything that might split up the family. Cricket Green, voiced by co-creator Chris Houghton, is both the youngest child of the family and the central protagonist. A chaotic gremlin child who runs from responsibility and always acts upon impulse, never thinking through his actions, which often leads to disastrous consequences.
You can trust us. Ooh, forgot I had a bunch of rusty nails in my pocket.
In a world full of virtuous, pure-of-heart main characters in children's shows, Cricket is a welcome change, with his love of mischief and devil-may-care nature acting as a throwback to rough-around-the-edges kid protagonists of the 90s and 2000s. Though his more irresponsible and dangerous quirks are balanced by the fact he is simply so darn nice to everyone. And once he finally becomes aware of the damage he's caused, he will go to any lengths to make up for his mistakes, like in the episode Critterball Crisis, written and storyboarded by Ben Adams and Rebecca Scheuer, where he starts a feud with Gloria, an employee of the cafe next door, after she confiscates his kickballs. Through their interactions though, Cricket comes to better understand Gloria, even taking responsibility for his actions to prevent her from being fired, offering to work until he can pay off the damages. This is not only a shining moment for his character, but the first of many major status quo changes the show goes through. However, when Cricket takes things too far, you can always count on his older sister Tilly, voiced by Mary F. Harrington, to help push him towards the right decision. A mystery wrapped in an enigma, the eldest Greenchild has a perpetual glass-half-full attitude, finding beauty within the unappreciated and tackling life with her unique point of view.
Oh, hello. What's that? You want me to be your fearless leader? I graciously accept.
Tilly is the show's designated Cloud Cuckoo Land resident, meaning a character who seems to exist on a different plane of reality to everyone else, leading them to become the go-to source for non-sequiturs, which explains why it takes a few episodes for the show to figure her out.
Tilly!
Half-Blooded Guard was too good! He wants to marry me!
One thing I appreciate about Season 1 Tilly though is her having her own streak of mischief. Later on, the show develops her into this almost paragon figure, placing her into the role of good child. But in these early episodes, she'll happily bend the rules to get her way, such as when she wants to be a princess in the annual Parade Day parade.
What on earth is going on? A revolution.
A fantastic Tilly episode from early in the run is Gargoyle Gals, written and storyboarded by Charlie Gavin and Annie O'Brien, which focuses on her struggle to make a human friend, leading to lies spiraling out of control, and a third act that is easily the most dramatic the series gets for the first 15 or so episodes. Keeping them all afloat is Cricket and Tilly's slightly unhinged father, Bill, voiced by Bob Joles. A simple man who wants to tend to his crops and provide for his family, though neither task is easy, especially when he's having the most difficult time adjusting to his new city life. Despite now having to call this place home, Bill can't help but feel like an outsider, which manifests in desperate attempts to prove himself that often leads to him ending up in way over his head, whether it's taking on a dining challenge at a restaurant or trying to join in with a game of flying disc.
Don't make a fool of yourself!
Yes.
Yes, 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 yes!
Bro, come on!
This sense of stubborn pride also creates this feeling of inadequacy, such as in the episode Nightville, written and storyboarded by Cheyenne Curtis and Caldwell Tanner, where he starts moonlighting as a telemarketer just so he'll have a disposable income to spend on his kids.
You're always playing with that old junk in the yard, and it made me feel like I wasn't being a good provider. Everyone in this city has fancy stuff, and I didn't want you kids to feel different. So I took this second job in order to earn some extra money.
But despite how hard he tries to fit in, Bill finds he simply doesn't enjoy the city, becoming easily overstimulated by it all, which is the focus of one of my favourite Season 1 episodes, Gridlocked. Written and storyboarded by Cheyenne Curtis and Caldwell Tanner again. What can I say? These two are great when it comes to writing for this guy. In this episode, he attempts to escape for a day trip to the country, only to become stuck in traffic, which Bill eventually discovers is caused by a lost book.
I get what you're going through. Surrounded on all sides, no space to run around. It's enough to drive a guy crazy. You know, we're not that different. We both want to be somewhere else. But for now, we're right here. So let's calm down, take a few breaths. There we go. And try to appreciate where you're at. Sometimes you might surprise yourself.
Rounding out the main cast is Alice, played by Animus Pebdani. Cricket and Tilly's old-fashioned grandma is a sharp-witted woman of action with a wooden leg and a fiery temper, never being too far away from her favourite sword.
I'm basically the patriarch of this family, after Grandma.
Smart boy.
Now, the concept of an active grandparent has been explored many times before, but what sets Alice apart is the emotion behind it. Beyond loving her family and holding great respect for their history, she is covering up some deep insecurities about her age, preventing others from viewing her as old by maintaining as much independence as she possibly can. While she will jump into a fight to the death without hesitation, she'll also grow terrified when she has to take a driver's test to get her license renewed.
I'm scared of getting old. I'm scared of becoming useless. And I'm scared that if I fail that driver's test, it'll prove just that.
I didn't know you felt that way.
It's okay, Grandma. Lots of things scare me, too. Like that gate we're about to smash through.
The what?
It's this kind of push and pull that makes Alice such a compelling character, especially watching her relationship with her grandkids develop, with them finding common ground within their contrasting worldviews.
She's been having her nightmares again.
You think poison can kill me? Now kiss me, you fool.
She also represents an underlying theme of the show, a commentary on gentrification. The Greens live in this bubble of familiarity, a small patch in the middle of big city that only exists because Alice refused to sell her land to developers, even as she watched the world she knew disappear around her.
Did you know that the Big Bang Tower was built in...
I know when it was built. I remember when they destroyed acres of farmland to put up this hunk of junk.
For the first chunk of Season 1, Big City as a whole treats the Greens as either a nuisance or a novelty, depending on the episode. Their lives and experience diminished as nothing more than a sideshow attraction to the venti chai-drinking population. This is where you get episodes like Home Share Hoedown, written and storyboarded by Katie Aldworth and Rebecca Schoen, where Cricket sets up an Airbnb hoping to make a quick buck, but quickly becomes annoyed at how condescending his guests are.
We switched rooms! This one is just so much more authentic than the other one.
What does that even mean?
I love this room. What's this ladder made of? Is that wood? Is that real wood? What is that made of?
It's wood!
Though the overall message of the show is that the Greens don't have to change to fit in, and as they continue staying true to themselves, you slowly see the positive impact they start to have on the city, demonstrated through the gradual introduction and development of the expanded cast. Remy Remington, voiced by Zena Robinson, is Cricket's best friend and the richest kid in Big City.
My family just uses money. Like this. I got you a present. Just a little something for the house.
While Tilly can often act as Cricket's moral compass, Remy is there to provide him with common sense, even if it takes Cricket a while to listen, with their friendship being one of the most wholesome things in the show. While he is a Cricket-focused character, over time he forms a connection with the entire family, which isn't something you often see in these type of shows.
Remy, we need your help.
Cricket? Oh, I've been dreaming of the day you'd call me in the middle of the night for help, and it's finally here.
I already mentioned Gloria Sato a little earlier. Voiced by Anna Arcana, who would later voice Sasha in Amphibia, Gloria is a stressed and depressed minimum wage worker who is the mouthpiece for anyone in the service industry, dealing with awful customers, having her spirit slowly broken, and missing many important life events due to her job.
Thank you, sir. And have a happy parade day. Enjoy it. Some of us can't be there, even though we really want to be. Just once.
Initially introduced as the antagonistic force next door, the show quickly develops her into a sympathetic character who experiences a full transformation across the season, growing to appreciate Cricket and the excitement he brings into her life. Her presence gives the show one foot in reality by depicting the hardships people face in their early 20s, which is explored in the episode Coffee Quest, written and storyboarded by Aaron Austin and Chris Pianka, where she and Cricket embark on an adventure that helps them better understand each other, including learning she isn't originally from the city, having moved there shortly after college.
I don't get it. If you're not from around here, why are you always coming down so hard on me for being from the country?
I guess because I work hard to fit in, but you don't, and yet you just fit in. Am I doing something wrong?
Oh, Gloria. Yeah, probably. But hey, you had me fooled. I thought for sure you were from Big City.
Thanks, Cricket.
Those are the most important recurring characters this season, but Big City is full of eccentric residents who keep showing up. There's Tilly's best friend, Andromeda, voiced by Nicole Byer, an adolescent conspiracy nut who the show criminally underutilizes, Cricket and Remy's other friends including Kiki, Benny, and of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Wheezy.
That's what it is.
Then you have police competence incarnate with Officer Keys, best friends Terry and Alexander, the chill next door neighbor Brett, and Alice's mortal enemy Mr. Gregorian, all of whom are developed either through spotlight episodes or over the course of many appearances throughout the season. There are two others worth mentioning, Remy's bodyguard Vasquez, played by Danny Trejo, and Cricket's mortal enemy Chip Whistler. Though compared to where later seasons took these two, their appearances in season 1 don't feel fully formed yet, thus I'm going to wait to talk about them later. And these characters aren't simply colourful in terms of their personalities, with everyone in the show sporting pastel skin tones, a creative choice that adds to this idea of Big City being this hodgepodge of many different people and cultures. Moving on to the visual look and feel of the series, that too gradually improved over the first chunk of the season, as early on many of the drawings were a lot more rough, with the art direction getting more refined as it goes on, though the personality was there from the beginning. Big City Greens is one of the final cartoons of the modern era to still be animated entirely using paper, leading to phenomenal moments of high-fidelity character movement that showcases the 12 principles of animation, with plenty of squash and stretch, which would soon become the standard for Disney animated shows. Thanks to the stunning level of detail in the backgrounds, Big City itself is able to feel like its own character, showcasing both its beauty and grime to make the setting feel truly lived in. The best visuals of this season are found in the episode Blood Moon, which opens with The Quickest Way to My Heart, an alternate theme song that has far more effort put into it than simply a creepy filter over everything. With this not only being their first full 22-minute episode, but also a Halloween story, they took the opportunity to go all out with the cinematography and lighting, which matches the outstanding score by series composer Joachim Horsley to create an appropriately tense and spooky atmosphere, though it isn't the only instance of nightmare fuel this season. So far, I have drawn lots of parallels between this show and another yellow animated family, and it's honestly because I feel in a lot of ways Big City Greens is this modernized take on the comedic sensibilities of early Simpsons. Both shows are about the financial struggles of a family that pokes fun at the absurdity of our own reality simply by presenting it through the lens of a sitcom.
Ooh, we could go see one of the 12 new superhero movies that are... Nope, they're all sold out.
And that humour works because the stories often start from a grounded and relatable place before escalating into more exaggerated ideas. This type of storytelling would continue to be refined in later seasons, though from the get-go the show is both witty and engaging, with the humour of later episodes taking this delightfully morbid turn.
Those biscuits were so dang good it made me want to lose another finger. Surely I don't need all of them.
Across the first 20 episodes, there is a build-up towards the reveal of Cricket and Tilly's mother, who is casually mentioned across several episodes, setting up the mystery surrounding her whereabouts.
Their mama came back. That sure is nice. Can't wait till our mom comes back.
Yeah, me too.
This all leads into the episode Phoenix Rises, which was written and storyboarded by Katie Aldworth and Rebecca Scheuer, so you can thank them for the emotional damage. In the episode, Cricket's dog Phoenix mysteriously runs away, seemingly chasing after something. When I first saw this episode in 2018, it was the episode where I truly fell in love with the show, as it demonstrated its chops for more emotional stories that brought out different sides of the characters. Though watching it all these years later, and dealing with the loss of my own childhood dog earlier this year, this time around, it broke me. Seeing Cricket desperately search for and confront the idea that he may never see Phoenix again provides this sobering reminder of how young he is, and then it ends on a doozy of a cliffhanger.
Well, at least your whole family is back together again. Huh?
Looks like somebody lost their dog. Good thing she tracked me down.
Well, look who finally got out of jail.
Hey, kiddos.
Mom! What?
The final stretch of this season sees the introduction of Nancy Green, voiced by Wendy McLendon-Covey, a rebel with a cause who until now had been in jail after getting caught freeing a herd of cows from a factory dairy farm. But now she's back, as she quickly becomes the fifth main character, watching her attempts to settle down and reconcile with her past while figuring out what part she has to play in her kids' lives after she's been away for so long. In this show, the parents are as flawed as the kids and just as susceptible to making mistakes, which they are rightfully called out on, making these characters so much richer and helping the audience better connect with them. And this also brings about perhaps my favourite element of the series.
Gee, the family dynamic I've grown to love sure is gonna change with you living here, Mrs. Green.
Well, actually, Remy, Nancy and I are...
Divorced! And it'll be a cold day in Hades before I let my son's criminal ex-wife live in my home.
Despite their separation, Bill and Nancy still have an incredibly supportive and healthy relationship, continuing to work together as parents and often spending time as a family. Aside from a few moments shortly after her return, there is no sense of animosity between them, making for one of the best depictions of a divorced couple you could hope to find in any media. They are able to demonstrate how these two clearly understand each other better than anyone else, yet without ever suggesting they may still have feelings or want to get back together. Just two people who accept that along the way they grew apart, yet they are still there for each other and love their kids more than anything.
You guys ready for Mom Night?
Yeah!
Thanks again, Bill. Any big plans for your night off?
Yep, I'm gonna eat an entire hamburger by myself. Well, bye-bye.
Good for him.
Across these initial 30 episodes, Big City Greens was able to demonstrate what it had to offer that set it apart from other cartoons of the era, providing biting social commentary on industry and capitalism without losing its levity and optimistic tone. While the successes of this first season would soon be eclipsed by everything that followed, I still highly recommend going back and seeing where it all started. If you can look past some of the rougher animation and slower pacing, you'll find plenty to love about the show's introduction, though this was only the prelude of what was to come. So join me again in a few months' time when I take a look at Big City Greens Season 2, in which Cricket and Tilly learn about the animation pipeline, Alice accidentally becomes a getaway driver for Team Rocket, Gloria finds herself homeless, and we continue to question Bill's sanity, all while watching it grow from these humble beginnings into one of the biggest animated shows currently airing. So, once again, until next time folks, I've been the Glad and Gladiator, and I'll see ya real soon.